Hari Om everyone. We're starting this class on Tattwabodha. Start with the chanting, the Shanti part. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिगं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आन शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् ॐ श्रीमहागणपतये नमः सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः chant the Mangalacharan for the Granth. वासुदेवेन्द्र योगीन्द्रं नत्वा ज्ञानप्रदं गुरुं मुमुक्षूणां हितार्थाय तत्त्वबोधोऽभिधीयते तत्त्वबोधोऽभिधीयते. So we are into the final part of the text, Tattwabodha. We are looking at karma. So we saw in the last class about how karma works, about how the different gunas form our nature. There were some questions asked by you. I couldn't answer them completely because uh, I have to explain a few things in class before you will be able to understand them fully. So we started with the first part about how the three kinds of karmas are there, prarabdha karma, sanchit karma, and agami karma. So agami consists of all the total sum of all the karmas that we have done in all our previous janmas. Then prarabdha, the part of that karma which is allocated to us in this birth, and then agami karma, the ones that we do in this birth, out of which a few can take fruit in this birth itself, the rest will take fruit in some of our next births. Of course, if we get out of this cycle, then it's finished for the Jnani, right? So in this, we have seen so far that in order to be doing all those three kinds of karmas, our direction in life is decided by our interests, our proclivities, our impressions, our vasanas, and so on. Because of these vasanas, we have different natures. So according to the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas, we define that there are four different varnas. So sattva in majority, a little bit of rajas, that is the brahmana. Then more of rajas, a little less sattva, and very small bit of tamas is in the kshatriya. Then third is the vaishya, who has a bit of rajas, little less sattva, and little bit of tamas. So Rajas is dominating, but Sattva is also slightly there. Uh, and finally, in the Shudra, the Tamas is dominating and very little bit of Sattva and Rajas. Of course, no one has zero of any of these, and there are always small degrees of variation. So according to that, we develop what is our nature, Swabhava, whatever is our Swabhava. And it is said that the Lord has said, I have created the four Varnashramas. In Gita, Bhagwan also says that I have created these Varnas. And accordingly, he has given birth to people in these Varnas, right? And so they continue to do their duties, but then the duties have been defined by Shastra so that everyone should do their duty in the right manner without any ego. That is the first requirement. Everything should be done firstly for the whole universe samashti, and then for the individual. That is the general trend. That is why a small element or element of sacrifice is involved in all those. That is the giving up of the ego. So we saw the further division of the karmas that we do according to the mandate by the Shastras. They involve the angle or the portion from which we are going to do those karmas, right? So all those karmas we saw, uh, the Shastra mandates them, divides them into five broad categories. One is the Nitya karma. So again, here Nitya karma is done for the society as a whole. Nitya karma we do for the benefit of the people around us, right? So that for that we have the five Mahayagyas we saw earlier. Those Mahayagyas help us to reduce our ego to be able to do more for nature because nature has given us so much, right? So that is how this system actually works. No, the moment ego creeps in, then the proper way of doing the karmas is negated, and we cease being true dharmic, or we become adharmic. So that places us outside the category of the what dharma or what our religion requires of us. So that is why it is mandated. And those who skip this part, those who don't do this, they are considered wrong or outcasts, or they are not accepted in society. And they are similarly corrected. There are similar punishments. Those punishments vary from time to time. So we will come to that later. So when we see these five kinds of karmas, Nitya, so you have to do everything for your knowledge, Brahma karma, you have to do for your pitars, your forefathers. And I explained the concept. Doing for your forefathers is not giving them physically something, but giving them the satisfaction that they are being, their tradition has been carried forward according to what we call the there we saw the Varna, then the second is Jati and Kula. So Kula represents the tradition that is followed by all the families. So when they come and see us, they see us following the traditions. For them, that is the greatest satisfaction, right? They don't need that food actually. The food that they get is basically the satisfaction that you give them. So then you do for the pitters, then you do for the people around you, Atithi, then you do for Dev Yagya, you do, then you do finally the Bhut Yagya, for the beings around you, huh? And you take care of nature as a whole. So all of these karmas, they have something called what we call, they are compulsory. They don't give you any direct fruit, but the direct fruit is what? Chitta Shuddhi. Your mind becomes purer. Because the moment you learn to give, your mind becomes purer, and your purity helps you move towards the highest side of knowledge, that is liberation. Right? So that is why doing Nitya Karma is a way of doing your karma, yet. And what is the phalam for that? It can give a negative phalam. Right? It is if you don't do them, then you will suffer. So that is why you see that there is a landslide, or there is some flood. All these are ways of nature making us aware that we have done something wrong, right? So because of that, we pay for the mistakes that we have done. When we look after nature, when we do our bit for nature, then nature thrives, nature survives. But when we try to take advantage of nature, when we try to rape nature, you can say, when we try to destroy it for our own personal gain, then it is going to hit back. It is going to strike back. So we have seen in our times COVID, we have seen other floods and so many things happening. Some people say that, so many people died, maybe, but they had not done anything wrong. So that is not the only thing. When you don't do something for nature, then also you are equally at fault. Right. So in this way, Prakriti takes its revenge, or gives you punishment for what you have not done. So that is the main significance of doing the Nitya Karma. They help you create a healthy society, a healthy nature, a healthy uh, people around you, relationships around you. If you keep doing your Nitya Karma, if you maintain good relations with everyone around you, then those people also keep back the same kind of love and uh, whatever you need. No, if you are good to people around you, they will be available for you in your time of need. So that is the reason that we have to do this nitya karma. And then similarly, naimittik also is similar, same. They maintain the traditions. No? Nitya is daily, naimittik is occasional. So naimittik karma we do on any kind of all the 16 samskaras that we have, right from birth to death. They all involve getting the community together, community consciousness, creating a community awareness. That community awareness comes with the result that we all bond together and we are together to face some of the larger problems of society. Well, sometimes everything we can't face alone. We need people to be around us. So that nemitic karma represents when whenever you do a yajna, a homa, when we invite all the people together, we feed them. Yeah. So we are giving something to them. Similarly, they will also do something like that. So in this way, the first benefit is it creates a community bonding, and secondly, you spend your money, others also spend their money, then that prosperity is spread all around. So that prosperity comes back to you also, right? A simple principle of economics: the more you spend, the more wealth grows in the society. And when everyone spends, the more society's wealth grows. So in this way, Naimittic karma help us to. It includes also all our festivals, Holi, Diwali. They all are Naimittic karma. At a certain occasion, we are celebrating. So every festival that we celebrate, that is contributing to our general wealth. Then Kamya. Kamya is for the individual. Whatever your desires, you do the proper yajna for that. If you do a Putra Kamishti yajna, you will get a son. But you people say that these days it doesn't work because the bhav shuddhi is not there, because all the required purity is not there. So then you are left with whatever will come to you out of your previous actions or karma phalam, whatever. So that only you will get. Any kind of extra effort you make will not bear fruit because the required purity is not there. But that purity can be there. That is what we have to remember. So it will, kamya karma will give us punyam. It will give us punyam. That punyam is coming in the way of good situations, good opportunities, right? So like I study hard for an exam. So if I studied hard, I have done a kamya karma. I want to get a good result. I want to be popular. I want to be successful in life. I want to be rich. So that situation will only come when my effort is proportional to what is required, right? So if there is a pass percentage of 95% for getting into a certain college, my effort should be equivalent, and it should also surpass the effort of those around me. So that is how I have to push myself so that my desires can be fulfilled. I have to give the proportionate effort. That is how we do the kamya karma, right? And then Nishiddha is something that is totally banned. So harming other people, telling lies, giving people false promises, stealing from them, all the part of what we saw in the Yog Sadhana, first part. So the whatever is good we have to do, the opposite of that. So if you say aste, then aste is non-stealing. Then you don't have to steal. So what is Nishiddha there? Stealing is Nishiddha. Everything the opposite. So whatever you have to do there, so Ishwar Pranidhan, daily, surrendering to Lord. So if you don't do that, then Lord will leave you. Do on your own. You think whatever you do, He will let you do, and you will get according to what little bit you do. But when you associate your power with the bigger power, you get bigger fruits, right? So that is why, people who do something big for society, they easily get more resources. So if I'm collecting some money for building my house, no one will give me. But if I'm collecting money to build an ashram, everyone will give you. So depends on the cause of what we are doing. So Nishiddha karma is something opposite to all of that. All the bad things that we do, which will harm the flow of society, or harm what we call the rhythm, the flow of nature. That is Nishiddha. And then Prayaschit, when we have done some Nishiddha karma or something wrong, then we can do some correctional sadhana for that. That will reduce our papam. So Punya and Pap are coming from Kamya and Nishiddha. Kamya gives Punya karma, Punya phalam, Nishiddha gives Pap phalam, and Prayaschit will reduce the Pap. So as I said earlier also, it's like a big big stone is falling down from the hill and it's coming towards you. You can shoot it with an arrow and reduce it to smaller blocks so that the chances of any one of them hitting you will reduce the harm done to you. So with Prayashchit, situation will always come for whatever we have done earlier, but we will be prepared to face it and the problem will also be reduced. Hmm. So in our terms, we also say चूली का कांटा बन जाना है ना. So because the person was supposed to be put on hanged, but then he ultimately got a smaller punishment, just a thorn prick. Yeah. So that kind of thing Prayashchit can do for you. Prayashchit can help reduce. So that is this karma you have to do on requirement, whenever required, whatever wrong you have done. So Shastras have prescribed lot of them, right? So then now we come next to the part where, of course, whenever we do these, we do our dharma, we perform according to our varna and ashram. But varna and ashram are slowly, with time they fade away, right? So people are not that much pure. So that does two things. As we move down the yugas, the varnashram dharma also changes. Changes in the way that the requirement to move according to your varnashram is not changed. Requirement is always there. You should always be working towards that. But people become more and more selfish. They don't, they are given those duties, but that second part that I said, that you should do every karma without ego, that ego part is missing now, is now increasing. You are no longer without ego. So that ego creates what we call false, false uh, relationships or false results coming out from the varnashram dharma. Whatever should have come will not come. So just like, you do a test and you get a false positive. So in that way, whenever you are doing whatever you are doing according to your one ashram dharma, in Satyug, it was very, very strict. Everyone would be very strict according to their karmas. Of course, in some people say in Satyug, actual human beings were not there, only the powers were there, right? It's only in the Treta that the human beings came on earth. So, uh, whatever way you look at it, in from Satyug, the one ashram dharma is very strict. People don't stray out because people are very evolved. Their ego is non-existent. So whatever varna they are into, they will be following that strictly, right? And then for those times, the punishments are also that severe. The punishments are also very, very severe. So let's come down to Treta Yuga, where we can actually relate to the part where Ramji came. And in that part, what happens is there is a slight change, but still people are following more or less their Varnashram Dharma. So any punishment is very, very strong. If you look at some of our texts, which are very much criticized, like Manusmriti. So there also, the punishments are strong, but the punishments are not there only for the Shudra. Punishment is even stronger for the Brahman. Yeah. So it's not that for the Brahman, the punishment is worse because he's a knowledgeable person and yet he has committed that error. So in those times, people stuck to their dharma also. The ego was also less, and anyone straying away, the punishment was very less. Similarly, when we go down the yugas, then in Dwapar, certain decrease happens, so similarly, the sadhana was also changed. The people's capacity to do tapasya has also changed. And also all the holding on to one ashram dharma. So you see in the times of Mahabharata, lot of intermixing of castes. You know, sure. So Karna is born from a mixed caste. He's Kshatriya and Shudra, mixed Karna. So, yeah, Karna is born. Karna was Kunti's son only. He was no, he was brought up by he was Kunti's son, but he was born. She got the boon, but she was born from another man, from Radhe Ma's womb, and the charioteer was his father. It was mixed born. She got the boon, but she transferred that boon to another person because at that time she was not even married. Yeah. So he was Kunti's son also, but he was their son also. But anyway, let's not go into the technical details. So whatever the case, there were so many mixed castes happening at that time. What we call Varna Sankara, all mixed castes happening. So no, the Lord is also now left with less possibilities. So he can't also maintain purity. We have to maintain the purity of caste. When we can't, then he will also be not be able to give you birth in the proper caste. So in today's world, in Kali Yuga, there is no proper following of Varna Ashram Dharma. Of course, it is not zero. Lot of families, lot of systems, they still follow it strictly. And but what happens when they go out for a job? When they go out to do some work, they can't get a proportionate job to them. Very few families are able to maintain that. So in these times, there are no very few people. Yet you can still do. You can still follow your one ashram dharma if you want to reach the purity of level of purity and finally be able to reach for the highest fruit, which is moksha. How? Because Satyug, Kalyug are all, they are very, what we call variable time periods, right? So if you look at the level of the cosmic level, I explained this in my video on the yugas, that yuga is a conjunction of two events, right? So a yuga can be even 1 millisecond, and a yuga can be those millions of years also, right? So at the cosmic level, the yuga is what we call the age of Brahmaji, right? So billions of years. Even one day of Brahmaji is about 6.4 into 2, 12.8 billion years, right? So in this way, all of these calculations will tell us that at the cosmic level, that the creation of the universe, the yuga is very long. But at the level of the humans, so at the level of the humans, what yuga we follow? We follow the yuga of the pitars, the forefathers. So whatever the generational consciousness is flowing through us, that represents the yuga for us humans. For humans, then for our generations, the yuga is 1 day of the humans, uh, uh, one uh, 1 day of Pitra, sorry, is 30 days of human, right? So 30 times. So a human life cycle usually is 100 years, right? So in multiply that by 30, so 3000 years is the human Kali Yuga. And then similarly, you multiply by 2, 3, and 4 to get the remaining numbers. Then similarly, for us internally also, internally our mind can reach high levels of purity very, very fast, right? So it might take maybe few years, maybe few decades, and maybe lots of janmas. So we can reach internally into our Satyuga without where there being an external Satyug. So we can reach inside for purity, create a Satyug within ourselves, so that my mind is refined in itself for me to be in Satyuga and my to follow my one ashram dharma according to that standpoint. Right. So when I do that, I am able to perform my one ashram dharma duties without disrupting the flow of nature, without disrupting all that things are happening. But of course, majority of people are not following. So what whoever are not following, there is a lot of what we call ego in knowledge. So knowledge is there, but knowledge is not used for moksha. Knowledge is used for showing off, right? So that kind of thing is wrong. So in Vivek Chudamani, the 58th verse, it is said that knowledge is true knowledge, the one that liberates. All other knowledge can be only for what we call vak vyavhar. I am a very good, efficient speaker. It can be for Manas Vyavar. I am very controlled in my mind and thoughts, and I'm able to articulate whatever I'm saying with very smoothness. So it lists all those conditions where we can, express ourselves very well. We are knowledgeable, but that knowledge is not a part of my behavior. That knowledge is not even Atmajnana. Right? So that way, this knowledge is, or Atmajnana knowledge is the one that uh, should be a part of my being, my part of my everyday behavior. And that is the actual definition of any kind of knowledge, actually. So any kind of knowledge is useless unless it is a part of my behavior, right? I may have knowledge of physics, and I have studied something in very deep detail, but unless I'm utilizing that knowledge to build, to actually build something or make something, then that knowledge is useless. It is just like pages in a book. I may have read, I may have memorized, until and unless I'm able to utilize that knowledge, if that knowledge is not useful for me. So all knowledge that we have should be for the purpose of utilizing for the benefit of the person as well as the society. And that is how we have to hold on to or express or utilize our knowledge, right? So according to the one ashram dharma, the times have changed, and people get, different kinds of, they have different kinds of ways of expressing their one ashram dharma. So like in Treta Yuga, Sita Ma had to bear so much, right? But the thing was, she had the capacity to bear it. As an individual, she has a karma to be, to look after her family, stay with her husband. So she protested, which was right. That why should I go? She even proved her purity. That I am not pure. Why should I go? But yet, when she saw the requirement of her husband, because her husband would have to suffer also. It's more difficult for a husband to live without the wife, right? So both ways. It's not that only one suffers. So even though Rama was in his palace, he was still living life like in a very difficult state. And Sitama had to go to the jungle. She also accepted that because she understood what the others were saying, that if the women of every family were able to go out and live with some other man for some time and then come back, and they would expect to be accepted, then it would create a wrong example. So that kind of thing was frowned upon. Same for men also. So that kind of thing was frowned upon. So she accepted that for the good of society. So today we want, today's people will say, why? I am more important. Our individuality is more important. So the more easily we sublimate our individuality to that of the society, to that of the people around us, or to that of the universe as a whole, the more the less conflict where there will be. जितना हम अपने आप ईगो को रोक लेंगे, the more we can control the ego, there will be reaction to every kind of denial. Because man can survive in the least of resources, right? So Shastra teaches us to survive on the least of resources and to do our duties according to our Varnashram Dharma. And once we do that, we will be able to move out of this cycle of Varnashram slowly by reaching, because even in one human birth, the Shastra has given us the four ashrams. So one we have seen, ashram is also there. So in Brahmacharya, you do your study. In Grahastha, you do live out all your desires. In Vanaprastha, you learn to stay detached from people, even living while people. And in sannyas, you finally give up everything. So there you can slowly move towards moksha in that sannyas ashram also. But for that, your brahmacharya study should be there. Right? So it's not that none of them is non-essential. So even in one birth, Shastra has given us the option of moving from desires and kamya karma to a state of liberation. But for some people, it takes many births, not some people, for most people. You could say Shastra says about 99.9999% of 1 in a billion people reaches the level of moksha in so many years, right? So in this way, Shastra has given us all this karma. Now the Jnani is finally able to move beyond this karma. He is beyond all desires. So what is his state? We'll look into the text. We'll go back into the text once again. Oh, one. Just the end. End of the verse. Not showing on my screen. Okay, now it's come. So we have seen karma, karmani kati vidhani santi iti chet agami sanchit prarabdha bhedena trividhani. So what happens to the karmas after one becomes a jnani? So 37.2 ज्ञान उत्पत्ति अनंतरम ज्ञानी देह कृतम पुण्य पाप रूपम कर्म यदस्ति तदागामी इति अभिधीयते देन संचित कर्म किम अनंत कोटि जन्मनाम बीजभूतम सत् यत्कर्म जातम पूर्वार्जितम तिष्ठति तत्संचित ज्ञेयम् प्रारब्धम कर्म किम इति चेत इदम शरीरम उत्पाद्य इह लोके एवं सुख दुख आदि प्रदम यत्कर्म तत्प्रारब्धम भोगेन नष्टम भवति प्रारब्ध कर्मणाम भोगाद एव क्षयम इति. So this prarabdha, agami and sanchit karma has been described here. The three kinds, agami, sanchit and prarabdha. So we have seen this earlier. After jnana utpatti anantaram, after the dawn of knowledge, jnana utpatti anantaram, jnani deh kritam, whatever the good or bad karmas that are performed by the jnani, punya pap rupam, they are of the form of punya and papam, yadasti, tad agami, iti abhidhyat. They are the ones that come under that category of these agami karmas. So, sanchit is of course the total sum total of karmas. Anant koti janmanam. So, all those that are collected after crores and crores of previous birth. And prarabdha is the ones that are given for us to bear fruit in this janma only. So, idam shariram utpadya ihe loke evam. Anita is saying something. Yes, Anita?
Sir, I thought Agami Karma is for everyone, not just the Jnani.
Yeah, it is for everyone also. It is for Jnani, but what we are saying here is what will be the result of it for the Jnani. Okay, so it's there for everyone. Agami, you are also doing Agami. So whatever you do, it will be different. But why is being said here for the Jnani? Because there is going to be a special corollary that will come up here for the Jnani. For him, what will be the effect of his Agami Karma? Okay, so we'll look into it. Nice. Okay. So prarabdha it gets destroyed after bhogam, after sukh dukh adi pradam yat karma, tat prarabdham bhogena nashtam bhavati. After bearing, after experiencing those prarabdha karmas, they get destroyed. Then the next set of karmas for the next birth will come up. So sanchit karma. So now all of these karmas, what will happen for the jnani? So for the jnani, what will happen is sanchit karma brahma ev aham iti nischayatmak jnanena nashyati. So, because this jnani has the knowledge that I am Brahman, all his sanchit karmas are destroyed. All of his sanchit karma are destroyed. They will no longer be attached to him because he does not think of himself as the body. The Sanchit karmas belong to the mind and body. Yeah? Soul, Sukshma, and Karan Sharir. When I say the body, it means all three bodies. Right? So all these three bodies are the ones that have the ego sense. Huh? Because of that ego sense, that karma attached to the body. So the Jnani knows I am Atma. So for him, the Sanchit karma is also destroyed, and of course the prarabdha karma that are there, they will also be accruing to the jnani. The jnani will have to go through whatever prarabdha karma that are coming through in his life. Then but what will happen is, for the jnani, he, even though he is bearing that pain, his pain is less because he is less attached. You would have heard maybe of uh, this uh, there are several Gyanis, but there was one very famous. Anita was talking. You were talking about him earlier.
Ramana Maharishi, sir.
Mhm.
Ramana Maharishi, sir.
Yeah, Ramana Maharishi, right. So he had a huge operation also, but he was able to bear the pain for that without any problem. Why? Because he was less identified with his body. So Ramana Maharishi was able to have a very serious operation, and yet he was able to, he felt as if there was no pain almost. And so many others also. And I have physically seen people in my life, even if you won't call them jnani, but they are able to bear pain with more fortitude than common people, right? So it depends on your attachment with your body or attachment to your pains and sorrows. The more our attachments, the more we suffer. Right. So this for this jnani, the prarabdha karma will be there, of course. It is not that they will go away because the body has taken birth. So for this birth, there will always be a chance. There will always be whatever karmas are possible. They will come to the jnani. He will see them as negated. He will see himself as Atma, the karmas happening to the body. So his bodily pain also will, on that account, be lesser because he is less attached to the body, right? Because it is our consciousness which allows us to experience the pain and sorrow. So because without, when the consciousness is in detached mode, the pain appears less. So now all these karmas are there, and the agami karma also, um, they are all destroyed by jnanam. But what will happen to the karmas that he is doing while he is in the state of jnanam till the state of his death, right? So when the jnani is there, he will obviously not be doing any papam. He is so clear in his mind about all knowledge. He will not do any kind of wrong things, right? So whatever papam you feel he is doing is like hitting someone also, no? That is because for his own good. There was a certain jnani, he used to throw stones at others. Why? Because he knew that these people were doing wrong things. So they called him Patthar Baba. So he used to stones. Yeah. So he used to throw stones because he knew they were doing wrong, and he would throw it only at the wrong people only. So uh, now all these agami karmas he is also doing. So for that there will be some punyam, some papam also. Maybe by mistake people do something wrong. Like no, Jainis are very careful. They will not even step on something that they insect or something might be harmed. So they tie a cloth. So not everyone does that while Jnani. So maybe you will harm some creature. So for that they will come. So what happens to that karma? So this is said here. Kim cha ये ज्ञानिनं स्तुवन्ति भजन्ति अर्चयन्ति तान् प्रति ज्ञानीकृतम् आगामि पुण्यं गच्छति ये ज्ञानिनं निन्दति द्विषन्ति तान् प्रति ज्ञानीकृतं सर्वम् आगामि क्रियमाणं यद्वाच्यं कर्म पापात्मकं तद् गच्छति. So whatever that jnani does for the people around him, those who praise him, स्तुवंती, जो स्तुति करते हैं उनको, bhajanti, those who do his seva, archanti, those who do his archana. So for that, towards that person, the jnanis agami karmas, punya karma goes to. So those who do good for the jnani, for them the jnani's karma phalam will go there, right? Because his attachment to his body is nil. You are doing some attachment or some kind of worship towards his body or mind or intellect. So because of that, that body, mind, intellect phalam will come to you. So those who do good things for the jnani, those who do seva for the jnani, that is why in our tradition there is a tradition of saving the serving jnani, helping them. The jnani doesn't need your service. He doesn't need your service, but you will get something good out of that service. That is the reasoning, right? So whatever the jnani is going to do, his good fortune or his good karma will come to you. So. uh, Tan prati jnani kritam agami punyam gacchati. Towards that person, whatever the agami karmas have been done by the jnani, that punyam will go towards such people. Right? So that is why we in our tradition, even if you don't know person is jnani, if someone is a saint and we've heard about him, we do seva. Yeah, we do seva because if the person is jnani, then naturally that punyam will come to us. But even if he is not a jnani, then also just because we have done seva, we will get punyam in the form of chitta shuddhi. Whatever seva we do, because seva is always the biggest benefit of seva is chitta shuddhi, right? Purity of our mind. When we do something for others, our mind itself becomes at peace, at rest, and we are happier. When you do something, any general thing, even clean the street outside your house, you will feel nice for hours. You did that job for 10 minutes, but you'll feel nice. I have done a good job, right? So that is why. And then again, the opposite, ye jnaninam nindati, those who abuse the jnani. A lot of people do that. No? Today, in fact, more of that is happening. No? People judge each other very fast. People judge others very fast. Someone has done a lot of good things, but one bad thing they will hold on. And then they will, it might seem controversial, but Mahatma Gandhi, he did a lot of good things, right? So maybe we can focus on the good things. Agreed, he made a lot of bad choices. But because of that, there are some people who will only abuse him. But you read his works, you read his books, you will see that he was a man of knowledge. He was a man who had good intentions. But just having good intentions is not enough in today's world. Politics is it's a very complicated field. So it is the people of crooked mind who can, who can see beyond that. Simpler people will not be able to see. So because of that, wrong decisions happen. But it's not that because of that you should, have dvesha. Those who keep this kind of dvesha, what do they gain? Do you gain something out of hating someone? If someone is wrong, you can stop that person from doing wrong, then your dvesha is justified. Then your dvesha is justified. Then your hatred is justified. That I have to stop this person. He is doing wrong. Otherwise, he will harm the society. So I have to do some kind of positive action. And I'm not doing something negative action. I have to do some positive action to either make him see the error of his ways, that make him understand. But if he doesn't, I have to stop him from doing what is wrong. So that is also not just jnani, any kind of person, the ninda and dvesh should be what we call productive. Nothing should be in the form of destructive action, right? So if today some people are, disrupting the order of the nation or order of the universe, order of the world, then those people need to be pointed out and they have to stop. But you cannot, start being violent towards everyone and doing, aggressive things at all the time. You have to go step by step. And first of all, you have to correct at the notional stage. Correct the notion. If that notion is not corrected, then don't apply blanket rules to everyone, to the whole, one kind of community or all that. But yes, if some people are wrong, then you have to correct it at that level. And if a lot of people support that wrong, then you have to apply it to everyone also. It's not ruled out. Huh? So there are certain philosophies that are harmful to the universe in general. So communism, harmful in all ways. So you have to oppose those philosophies. So those who follow that, all of them have to be opposed. So for Jnani or non-Jnani, anyone, whatever the ninda which you give, you will get some kind of phalam for that. So specifically for a Jnani, whatever the he said here, Jnani kritam sarvam agami kriyamanam yad vachyam karma papatmakam tat gacchati. Papatmakam. All the pap karmas or all the papam will go to this person. So whatever he has done earlier also in this janma, while before he gained jnanam, uh, so that also will go to the person who's abusing the jnani, or that all, and whatever he is doing by mistake now, like I said, some kind of violence people do while, even after knowledge. So that has to be, that result will go to the people who are abusing this jnani, right? Then finally, तथा च आत्मवित् संसारम तीर्त्वा ब्रह्मानंदम इह एव प्राप्नोति तरति शोकम आत्मवित् इति श्रुतेः. So in all our texts, the first importance has to go to Shruti, right? In Shruti. So in this text, we have seen less of Shruti because more of, we have seen more mainly the Mahavakyams, and here Tarati Shokam Atmavit. So this this Shruti is from Chandogya Upanishad, Tarati Shokam Atmavit, in the questions that Narad Bhagwan is asking. So there he is answered by the Lord that whoever knows the Atma. So Narad was a very knowledgeable person. He knew all about all the arts and all. Yet to gain Atma Jnanam, he went to the Lord. So mm, this knowledge, this is Atmavid, the one who has the knowledge of the Atma. He crosses the sansara. He is no longer trapped into the series of cycle of births and deaths. And Brahma Anandam iha eva prapnoti. He is in a state of perpetual joy. He is in a state of perpetual joy. That joy is not the laughing, jumping up and down joy of common people. That joy is the joy of being in calm state of peacefulness at all times. Whatever is happening, the person doesn't get disturbed. If anything wrong is happening, he is in command. He is able to handle a situation very well. That is the joy of Brahmanandam. Whatever is happening, he is totally in a state of bliss, and never is his bliss disturbed, right? So Tarati Shokam Atmavito, that is being, for that the proof is given from the Shruti that whoever is Atmavit, whoever is knows about the Atma, he he crosses the sea sorrows of the world. He goes over the sorrows of the world. So thus the knower of the self, having crossed samsara, attains the uh, supreme bliss here itself. The knower goes beyond also. And then tanu tyajatu va kashyam shvapachasya grihe athva jnana samprapti samaye mukto asau vigat ashaya iti smritehe. So in the smriti also it is said tanu tyajatu va kashyam shvapachasya grihe va. So whenever this person gives up his body, tanu tyajatu, wherever he gives up his body, this jnani, va kashyam. So even if he gives it up in Kashi, where it's said that if said by the Shruti that if you give up this, give up the body in Kashi, then you have the best chance of moving towards moksha. Why? Because uh, the atmosphere around is so beautiful that you naturally move towards a piece of towards a state of peace, and you live among the people there. They have the most highest of vairagya, and you will also be able to maybe reach that state. So, but for the jnani, if he dies in Kashi or in Shwapachasya, if he even if he dies in the house of a Chandal. Swapachasya is the one who eats a dog. Hmm. So that is Chandal, the ones who live in the Shamshan Ghat, the ones who live where the dead bodies are burned. So in that person's Grahya Athva, in that person's house also, if he dies, so whether he dies in the Kashi or in the house of a Chandal, this person, the Jnani will still be liberated irrespective of whatever place he dies. So, if we go to a higher loka, you have different, we have perceptions. So, like in the Mahabharata, Bhishma Pitama waited for Uttarayan, right? So Uttarayan is the time of the year when you can go towards go towards Devlok, Swarglok. So he waited till that time and then he gave up his life breath. So just like we have one day, the Devtas have one day which is equal to one year of humans, right? So their 1 year is equal to uh, their 1 day is equal to 1 year of human. So 6 months of their day is equal to 6 months of 6 months is equal to one full day of the Devta. 6 months of our day. And 6 months of human existence, and 6 months of another 6 months is their night. So during the day is Uttarayan. Uttarayan is when Swarga is in Swarga, it is day. So there the doors are open. So you can go into Swarga. Right. So that is why it is considered auspicious that you die during that time. You will go towards Swarga. So 6 months are available for that. So for that Jnani, it doesn't matter. Place, time, object, whatever he is with does not matter. His liberation is assured without any kind of limitation. So jnana samprapti samaye mukto asau. But the moment he attains jnanam, he is mukta only. At the time of gaining knowledge itself, he is liberated and freed from all the uh, results of action. Mukto asau vigat ashaya. Iti smriti ashaya. So this is the said in the smriti also. So all the jnani's karmas finish at the time of his death. Nothing remains. He is instantly liberated. And of course, whenever he attains jnanam, he is liberated at that time also. So the description of liberation is that jivan eva mukta. Jivan mukta is jivan eva mukta. So liberated while living. That is the meaning. So liberated while living. So that jnani is always liberated while living also. Right? So whenever the person who has crossed over this all of these karmas by his knowledge, he is able to move into a state where he is not going to need to take any birth because he has no body or no body to which he will be associated with. So in the case of the human body, the gross body merges back into the elements, hmm, but the subtle body carries on till the next word for the next word, and it goes on endlessly. But for the jnani, now there is no ego there. There is no ego left. So because the ego is not there, the Sukshma Sharir and Karan Sharir also will merge back into the subtle elements. Sukshma bhuto mein mil jata. They get merged back into the subtle element. So they will not again be rising up again, right? It is completely dissolved there, right? And so when the person is liberated, then his existence becomes the existence of everyone. He becomes all existence. He becomes all joy. He becomes all consciousness. So that Satchit Anand Swarup he actually becomes. Right. So with this we end this text of Tattwabodha. We can maybe keep one more session in the last class. I said the 20th class, where you can ask all your questions, whatever you have read, whatever you have heard so far, and if some things I have missed, or maybe some other things you want to ask, you can do that. So we will continue that for one last class in the next class. So we'll wind up for this class today. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om Om Tat Sat.